Hello, this is Amy Braun, and I'm the Director for Business and Science Products at Gale. And today I'm going to be talking to you about the Gale Interactive Chemistry product. Gale Interactive Chemistry is a new type of product for Gale because we're really stepping into the study habits of students. This is not a search and retrieve database. Instead, it's a database that helps students learn difficult chemistry concepts. So today I'm going to give you just a brief demo of what you can find in the Gale Interactive Chemistry product. I'm going to walk through a few of the features and a few of the activities. This is the home page with Gale Interactive, and as you can see, it's got that scrolling piece across the top that gives you a little bit of a preview of what you can find in the product. If we scroll down a bit, you can see that the activities are broken up into different types of modules. So if you know what you're looking for, you can go in and refine and get to it right from this screen. However, what we're going to do today to start is just do a brief search. So I'm going to search on periodic table, and we're going to see the activities that have to do with the periodic table. So I'm going to click into this first activity at the top, which is the periodic table introduction. As it's loading up, you'll notice that there are a couple of different things that are on this screen. First, you have our activity workbench here, where students can walk through and just click Start Activity and move through the activity. Over here on the side, you also have a little bit of Gale content that's incorporated into the product, so students can read more about a concept if they're not understanding, or they can listen to someone read the concept if they're not understanding. You can also go in here into the tools and get your standard set of Gale tools. So send to Google Drive, send to OneDrive. They can print this information to take it with them. They can do lots of different things here. But they don't have to read. They can just move through the activity without the content. It's just there if they need it. But let's get into an activity itself, because that's the exciting part. So I'm going to click on Start Activity, and then I'm also going to make it a little bit bigger here so you can see it more easily. And before we get into walking through an activity itself, I want to talk a little bit about this workbench. All of our activities have this workbench, almost a laptop kind of view with a short top, and there's information that's on the top of this view and then on the base of this view as well. And students can walk through all of our activities, and they're encouraged to do so, but they can also just go in with an investigative learning mindset. Just click on things as they're moving through the product. So for example, if I want to know about oxygen, I can click on oxygen, and it's going to give me all of the notation on oxygen. It's going to change the number of neutrons and electrons and protons that come into our atomic trinket here. Or as I'm doing this, if I want to see something a little bit differently, I can also right-click and spin the workbench so I can see. And then over here, for example, I can look at different properties of the elements. So if I click on boiling point, I can see how the boiling point changes across the periodic table. So this is one of those things that's super visual for students that they really like. It really brings the periodic table alive for them. And maybe I only want to see the boiling point for a particular group or period, so I can click on that and it takes away everything but those elements that are in that period. I can do the same thing if I want to take those off and do the same thing for groups. So click on this group or come over here and click on that group and see how the boiling point changes across those. Again, this is a very investigative learning experience for students, and because it's so visual and because they're used to the visual nature of things with all the electronics that they've had, they can really use this tool to help them explore the periodic table. I'm going to come back here and actually open up and start the activity. All of our activities have this introductory text that's over here on the side. They can navigate through the activity by clicking either on the arrows, or let me actually take this off here, or they can click on our buttons at the bottom, which will move them through the activity. The activity text will change as they're working through the activity, and then it'll give them some explanation as they're going through. Now, because this is an introductory activity, it's really showing them how to use this particular tool for simulation. We have in the product about 13 different types of simulations, and I'll go through and show you what some of those other types are, and 155 activities that are built off of those simulations. So let's actually come out of here and let's look up another one. So let's do the atomic orbitals. So this is an activity. When I was at a show recently, I was showing some professors and they were super excited about this activity because it's really hard for students to get the three-dimensional picture of atomic orbitals. They have a hard time visualizing it when they're first learning it. So this activity and this simulation really helps them get a better grasp on what those atomic orbitals are and what they're seeing. So again, they can go through and they can click different places on the simulation just for that investigative learning experience. They can also take this and drag and see in a 3D what it looks like inside of the atomic orbitals. And this one's pretty simple, but as you get out into these more complex orbitals, it gives them a much clearer view of what their professors are talking about as they've been talking about these different orbitals. They can change the threshold on these orbitals so they can see it get larger and smaller, and the scale as well. And it's just so nice that they can see it not only in like an X and the Y axis that they might see in a textbook, but they can also see it in that Z axis, which that flat textbook just won't give them. So that's another type of simulation that we have. Let's look at our atom builder. We're going to click on the introduction activity with the atom builder again, and let's make this a little bit bigger. And this you can see is a lot like our periodic table in its view, but instead of those properties that we had over here, we've got some protons, neutrons, and electrons. And as I start this activity, again, it's going to give us the text that's over here on the side. It's going to walk us through what we need to know. And one of the ways that this is different than our other periodic table we were looking at is we still have the atomic trinket, we still have our periodic table, but now we are looking at some isotopes on these different elements, or some common oxidation states, or some common ions for each of the elements. So as students are going through and learning about these elements, they can see how those things are changing, and they can click on those isotopes and see what difference that makes up here in our electron diagram, see the difference that it makes in our atomic trinket, and really get a visual sense of how these things work together. You might have seen when we were back here with Atom Builder that there was also an Atom Builder quiz. So within the interactive chemistry product, there is some self-assessment that students can use, and these are in the form of quiz activities. So after students work through some particular activities, they can go through and assess their individual knowledge using the quiz. And so it's some information over here. Again, they can go through, they will get a question. If they click on something and the question is wrong, it lets them know that they're wrong and gives them a little more information. If they click on something and the question is correct, it changes color and gives them, again, more information. So that's really nice. If they're not sure if they have something, then they can really come in here and assess it themselves before they get to class, before they get to that high stakes situation. So let's go back to our home page and look at a few more types of activities. So one of the questions I get is, what level of chemistry is this appropriate for? And a lot of times it's more for your first and second year chemistry students, your intro chem, your general chem, and then up into some organic chemistry reactions. So let me click on this reaction. So one of the great things about the organic chemistry reactions that are in the product is the fact that students can see both the 2D version and the 3D version changing at the same time. They can also change their view so they can see it from lots of different angles if they're confused by what's happening. So let's get that stopped here. They can walk through the activity just like any of our other activities, but they can also investigate just by pulling this slider and watching what happens in both the 2D version and the 3D version of the model, which is really nice because they don't have to spend the time building the models to be able to figure out what's happening here. They can just observe as they're going through. So let me exit out of here. And one last thing that I want to show you is how professors can use this product too. If there's something that they want students to review before they come to class, they can come in and grab links to both these activities or slides within a particular activity and integrate it into their LMS. So they can drop that link into their Blackboard system or Moodle or Canvas, and students can go right to that so they know what they need to do before they come to class. They can also share each activity with other methods, especially if they want someone within their department to see a particular activity to see if it's something they want to use within their class. They can share it via email, etc. So that is just a very brief preview on interactive chemistry. Definitely contact your Gale sales rep and get a trial set up if it's something you're interested in seeing more of, so you can really get in and play around with these activities. We've gotten a lot of really positive feedback from students, especially students that have come to the American Chemical Society meeting and have said, wow, I really wish I had this when I was starting to learn some of these chemistry concepts. It would have really helped me. So again, my name is Amy Braun. If you have any questions, you can email me at amy.braun@cengage.com, or again, contact your Gale sales rep. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch our brief video today, and we hope you enjoyed seeing the product.